Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of the Stone Age Gamer. Today's episode is called Darth Shrimp. Enjoy.
Hello again, everybody, and welcome back to a fresh new episode of the Stone Age Gamer. My name is Chris, and I'll be the host for the evening, and with me, as always, is Mr. Dan Ryan.
Good evening, everyone.
The invariable Dean DeFalco.
Fiddle faddle.
And the ever so slightly drunk Mike Sheridan.
What's up?
How we doing, everybody?
Not too shabby.
Yeah, you know, it's all right. It's all right.
Well, since Dean has to get himself into a bed fairly soon because he has to be at work at the ass crack of dawn. That was loud. Back to business here. We're going to do, speaking of business, we're going to do a quick little round around the room. We're going to talk about the games we've been playing, and then we're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to move on to our feature topic, which is the weirdest games we've ever played. Ooh. But before we get to anything, let's go around the room with what we've been playing. And what the heck, I'm going to go first because I don't really have a ton to talk about. I haven't had a lot of time with games this week. I have played a little bit more Shovel Knight, which, I mean, there's no end to the number of great things to be said about Shovel Knight. But my primary gaming this week has been Legend of Zelda: Link Between Worlds.
Yes.
Which, Mike, you brought that up on a prior podcast. I'm picking at the game slowly but surely. It's one of those kind of experiences where I really want to play it almost all the time, but it's on this queue of games that I have going on, right? I've got A Link Between Worlds, I've got Shovel Knight, which I keep wanting to play, and then I'm like, no, you need to finish A Link Between Worlds. And then after I finish A Link Between Worlds, I have to go back and finish Earthbound and Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze and Super Mario 3D World. And then my head explodes because then I start adding, this backlog of games from years prior and think to myself, boy, I wonder if I'll ever get around to playing Xenoblade Chronicles. And the answer to that is a firm probably not, as much as I would love to. I think I watched about 45 seconds of the opening cinematic and said, wow, this looks awesome. Time to go to work. But yeah, Legend of Zelda: Link Between Worlds. I like the game quite a bit, particularly the music. It's the sound design in the game is unbelievably good. It's just unreal. But the one kind of gripe I'm running into with the game is the game's attempt at giving you this kind of open world-ish freedom where you have this item shop and you can get the items and just rent whatever you like or save up enough rupees and buy the pieces. And that's supposed to afford you the freedom to do the dungeons in any order that you want. And it kind of does, but at the same time, the dungeons are they almost seem less organic because you go to a dungeon and it has the fire rod like on the outside of it. And it says, this is the fire rod dungeon. So you go get the fire rod, and then you go here, and then you can do this dungeon. Instead of what they were kind of sort of going for is alluding back to the original NES Legend of Zelda, where you could just, you get the candle, you can burn down the bush and walk into level 8. And it says level 8 up there, and you haven't beaten level 2 yet. And you think, wow, how hard could this be? And you walk into a room, and there's a bunch of blue iron knuckles all over the place, and you die in 4 seconds. And
you go, all right, I'll be back.
Exactly. I'll be back, and now I know where this is. And the fact that the game would just kind of put you up against these impossible situations, like Dark Souls. It's a very Dark Souls kind of thing where you're just like, well, I'm going to go over here. No, can't go over there because that thing killed the crap out of me.
Dead.
So I see where they were going with this Link Between Worlds, and there's a few like odd small gripes I have about it just from a conceptual level. Like, I don't mind going back to A Link to the Past Hyrule. In fact, I think that's a really cool idea, and seeing how the world has changed 100 years down the road. What bothers me is Lorule, and its very existence kind of goes against specific Zelda lore that's been put in place. Like, okay, the Dark World in Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past was the Golden Land that was warped by Ganon. Mm-hmm. So Ganon got the Triforce, and that's the reason the world looked the way it did. That's the reason the trees looked like what they looked like. That's the reason everything was dark and twisted in that world. So after Ganon loses the Triforce at the end, the Golden Land goes back to its original form. I would assume, or Link touched the Triforce, so the Golden Land would turn into something else. And they show the ending of A Link to the Past, where all the characters that were stuck in the Dark World are no longer twisted by its evil magic or whatever. But here we are 100 years later, and Lorule looks exactly like Ganon's interpretation, warped perception of the Golden Land.
Hashtag Ganon was here.
Hashtag Ganon was here. And that just kind of irks me, because you're not moving back and forth between this world and the same Dark World that was in A Link to the Past, because you can't, because that world doesn't exist anymore. Where this is Lorule, and there's like a Dark Princess Zelda and all that other jazz, and it doesn't really seem to, it doesn't match. And it's a very nitpicky thing, because I'm pretty sure that they've retconned their way into making it matched in some way, shape, or form. And I guess it doesn't really matter in the long run, but I would have preferred to see the art style and the general design of Lorule look different than the Dark World from A Link to the Past. Although I am very happy that the music is what it is, but I don't know. I like the game a lot. I think it's very deserving of the majority of the praise that it's gotten in the press, but I don't. It's not knocking Wind Waker off my top spot, and it's not knocking A Link to the Past off of its pedestal either.
Did it for me. I was very impressed with what it did. It had that feel, but it felt new.
And yeah, I definitely get what you're saying, that it had that feel and it felt new, and you're absolutely right about like the fact that it was taking from a pure gameplay perspective. Yes, I will definitely give it from a pure gameplay perspective, like the fact that you can move and swipe your sword in every direction because it uses analog control. The way it uses modern technology and sensibilities to give you these great new puzzle solving experiences, like the painting effect where you go into the wall. That stuff's all genius. I think it's great. I think it's very well put together, and I like a lot of the ideas, but I think because it strives for these great ideas and just misses a few of them, that's what knocks it down a few pegs. But that's like saying that my burrito had too much cilantro on it. Like, oh no, there's too much meat in my burrito. What will I do? Like,
Yep.
these are very minor gripes for a phenomenal gaming experience. Like, I really, really, really like this game. It's just not quite that super high echelon, but it's a huge step in the right direction, and it fills me with intense hopes for the Wii U Zelda game, which just looks amazing.
I've got nothing to add. It's something that I would like to play. I mean, Link to the Past is certainly my favorite Zelda game, so seeing what that game looks like in action and not having a 3DS makes me kind of sad. But I've heard kind of the same criticisms that you levy at it there, Chris. And like you said, they're not really all that harsh, but it's not quite an A+. It's an A, but just not quite there.
But those things that I look at as faults, some people look at as strengths. So it's really a very different perspective kind of thing. Like I mean, Mike's opinion of the game is 100% valid, because those things that bother me don't bother him, and there's nothing wrong with that, because they're very, especially my whole nitpicking about the Dark World. It's a nitpicky lunatic type thing. So
I don't like that it's named Lorule. That's dumb.
High rule, low rule.
Yeah, no, I get it. It's just like that's
Yeah, but
That's-
you didn't say anything
that
about
sucks.
Alucard with Dracula backwards.
no, sure, that's dumb too. But
Exactly, but it's still a great
like-
thing in gaming.
I thought
Hyrule-
low rule was clever. I thought that was pretty clever.
I don't
mean,
know.
it's not lame, but
not
it's clever.
HIGH rule. It's HY. I don't know. That's nitpicky on my end, and I haven't even played the game. But
Dan, if you like A Link to the Past, you'll like this game. It's just a scientific fact. They've done studies.
fair. All right, fair enough. I'm in.
Well, speaking of Dan, what have you been playing this week?
I've been playing not much. Just busy this week. I've played a little bit of Towerfall Ascension and Strider, which were the two free PS4 games. on PS Plus this month, and they're both really fun. The Strider I think is a little less fun than Towerfall Ascension, but I don't know. It's not as good as I want it to be. I don't know. Have any of you guys played this Strider reboot?
No, not really.
I played it at Comic-Con for like 20 minutes.
It's okay. I
Yeah.
wanted it to be.
Huh. Well, I guess we'll come back to Dan.
No,
He's
fuck it.
experienced-
Dan's done. That's
Having
it.
technical difficulties.
He had his chance. He had his time in the sun. That son of a bitch.
All right. Well, we'll come back to Dan maybe if we feel like it. Mike, what have you been playing this week?
Out of the ordinary, I've been playing Castlevania, but I was playing Bloodlines a little bit this week. I find that game very fun. You know, it's not as traditional as other Castlevania games because the option to pick between two different people.
Yeah, it's Eric Lacard and
John Morris.
John
right?
Morris. Yeah.
Yeah.
John Morris is the whip dude, and Eric Lacard's got that cool trident thing. Oh,
Yeah,
that's so cool.
That
It
and
is pretty cool, yeah.
the swinging for John Morris and Eric Lacard with like the high jump and the little twirly back and forth.
Yeah, the little twirly thing it shouldn't be as cool as it is, but it's totally awesome.
And it's cool because you get to, like, instead of just being the main focus, the castle, you're going all over the place, like Rome, other areas. And they brought in that whole thing that we were talking about from Rocket Knight.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
The water level and everything.
yeah, with the reflections and stuff.
Yep.
Yeah, that was another great example of Konami. It's just real technical achievements, especially on the Genesis. Those Konami Genesis games really stick out as being head and shoulders above a lot of the rest. And Castlevania Bloodlines is just such a solid game.
Yeah, I thoroughly enjoy it.
Cool.
So hey,
Dan, welcome back.
where did you lose me? I have no idea what's going on with my connect. I'm not home. I'm visiting the in-laws.
You were
so.
just talking about how much you sucked and how much you're
dude.
terrible at
Tonight-
video games.
No,
you-
tonight this is true.
You
We're talking
asked
about
if
you were mid-Strider.
yeah, I just said I played it at Comic-Con for 20 minutes and then you disappeared. It seemed like you were very upset that I played it at Comic-Con.
I was fuck the fact that you played it at Comic-Con, you bastard. No, all right. Well, if you played it at Comic-Con, I mean, because I downloaded the demo and played it, 2 months ago or something like that, and it's fun. I just wanted it to be better than it is. I expected better. It's okay. It was free, and you can't beat free. So I mean, I'll play that. But really, the thing I've been playing the most this week is an iOS game called Timberman. And the object of this game is very simple. You chop down a tree as quickly as you possibly can, and there are limbs. As you chop down the tree, limbs fall down, and you have to avoid the limbs. And it's fun in the same way that Flappy Bird was fun, in that you'll have it on your phone for a week and be obsessed with it, and then delete it after a week and never think about it again. So that's really all I got. That's all I've been playing this week. Just too busy doing, big boy grown-up stuff.
I'm a Dan fan.
Me too.
Damn fan.
Hashtag Ryan Randazzo. I'm in.
Hashtag Brian Randazzo 2016. It's happening, everyone. Get your shirts ready. They're running for
Ryan
Congress.
Randazzo, Bubsy, 2016.
What could possibly go wrong?
You
Speaking of
just
Dean.
lost my vote.
Dean, what have you been playing this week?
How did we lose your vote? Neither me or Chris said it.
Because you're endorsing Bubsy.
Nah, man.
More like a bridge
Bridge
too
too
short.
All right, anyway.
Dean, what have you been playing this week?
So the internationals are on for Dota, and that's been where I've been living when I'm not at work or doing a podcast. Is I've been playing lots and lots of Dota because there's all kinds of cool, crazy items to be had with awesome effects and everything. And if you haven't played Dota and you're a League of Legends fan or just a MOBA fan in general, Dota's where it's at, man. That's where all the hardcore people are. You want to be a part of like the most hardcore of the hardcore communities, man? It's Dota. That game is serious.
What does MOBA stand for?
Let me see if I can remember. Multiplayer Online Battle Arena. Yes.
And what does Dota stand for?
Defense of the Ancients.
Huh.
Do you have any more questions?
I had no idea that Dota actually stood for something.
It does.
I just thought it was
It
Dota.
does. Well, actually, funny story about that. Funny story.
Dota.
When
Dota.
you won't let me fucking talk. God. Anyway.
Dota.
So what happened was when Blizzard originally made the game, it was called Defense of the Ancients, and everyone just shortened it to Dota because it was easier to say. Now, when Valve made the second one, because Blizzard didn't technically make the game, it was just a map mod, whatever you want to call it, of Warcraft 3, right? Valve took the name Dota 2 because Blizzard didn't technically own the original game. They owned the game that it was spawned off of, but not the intellectual property, and Blizzard didn't care to ever, what do they call that when you gotta copyright the name. So Blizzard and Valve went to court about it. Blizzard was like, oh, well, it was kind of ours, but not really, but we still want money for it. And Valve was like, nah, one word, Gaben. And then Gabe Newell dropped out of the sky, shot electricity everywhere, made the judge rule in their favor. So it's just called Dota 2. It doesn't mean anything. Dota doesn't mean Defense of the Ancients anymore. It just means Dota. Dota is Dota now. But it all makes sense because it's on Steam, and Steam is God. You don't go against Gabe Newell.
And boom goes the dynamite.
Hashtag Gaben.
How's the Steam box coming along?
Sure. Yeah, it's great.
Is it? I mean, I don't know. I'm not a PC guy.
Oh, I mean, you can buy them already. They're out and about.
Oh, can you?
Yeah.
They're expensive.
No, they're not that. I mean, you can buy one for like $800 if you want. They're not really expensive.
Chump change.
Yeah. Woo! Let's just throw some money around. $800, no big deal.
For a computer,
How much ground
that's not.
beef you can buy for $800.
Well, you're talking about buying a computer. It's essentially a computer.
That's like 2 Earthbounds.
No, that's like one Earthbound in the box.
Yeah, so
Maybe.
With the stickers.
I think you guys are failing to realize for a computer that's very, very cheap. Very cheap. For a gaming computer.
Yeah, well, yeah.
For a gaming computer, that's incredibly cheap. If you go to Dell and like, I want a gaming computer, they're like, yeah, well, you could pay at the cheapest $1,600 because it has our name on it.
And then after I stopped laughing, I would go
us.
home and buy a gaming console.
Well, I mean, I like the ability of having a little bit extra in the tank as far as, graphics and stuff go, because the gaming consoles can only get you so far, and PC graphics have already caught up and gone beyond what even the PS4 and Xbox One can do already. And you could build one for probably close to the same price, maybe a little bit more. So, I mean, that's just where I'm at with it. But yeah, I've been playing a lot of Dota and stuff, and it's been plenty of fun. For anyone who likes MOBAs, they're really cool. I've been having a great time doing that. You get items for like winning and stuff, and they're all cosmetic things that you could do. I've been playing the game for far too long. I checked yesterday. I'm almost at the 800-hour point. So yeah, you could say I've spent some time playing that game.
So you got that going.
That is impressive.
Yeah, well,
Can you put that on a resume?
Nerd!
Yeah, I guess I could. Well, yeah, if any of you don't know, I almost went pro a little while back in League of Legends like 4 years ago. So, yeah, there's that.
Is that a MOBA as well?
Yeah, League of Legends is also a MOBA. That's the original MOBA.
I think we should have a Stone Age Gamer where you just tell us what MOBAs are, because I don't think the rest of us have any clue.
You don't want me to dive down that rabbit hole, man. We'll be here for like 4 days.
Gotcha. MOBAs, games I don't play.
Yeah. So anyway, I've been playing a whole mess of that. And then someone told me about this thing called Pokemon Fire Red Omega. And I asked them what that was, and they told me that it's a hack of the original Pokemon Fire Red, but it's harder, and they added all the Pokemon from Gen 3 that were in Fire Red, but they threw them all into one game, and they're all available throughout the map and whatnot. And they made the trainers a lot harder to fight, and the gym leaders much harder as well. And I was like, yeah, whatever, that can't be true. So I started playing it and everything. And then I get to Brock, who, if you guys don't remember, is the first gym leader. He has 3 Pokemon in the original Fire Red. He has 6. And Brock normally has, what do you call it, like rock Pokemon?
Geodude.
Yeah,
Geodude,
so
Onix,
I'm prepared
and,
for that.
Some other crap.
Yeah, so I have a grass Pokemon, and then all of a sudden he whips out a Vulpix, and I was like, well, fuck. there goes that play. I'm fucking done. And it took me like 5 tries to beat him. That's never happened before. Even when I was 8 years old, I still knew how to beat the turd bag. I couldn't even do that. And I was like, all right, this is cool, and I've been playing it. It's been a lot of fun, Just so you know, you should probably have the original Fire Red laying somewhere around, but there's a ROM hack of this. You can't get it any other way, but I do own a original copy of Fire Red somewhere in my drawer. So, yes, it's illegal otherwise, so don't do it. It's bad.
Good advice.
Nerd.
Yeah, whatever, bro.
800 hours. Jesus.
Oh, well, I mean, it's just, it adds up.
All in one sitting.
No. Absolutely
you're
not.
You're in deep, my friend.
Well, yeah, I've been, like, it's kind of, I've grown with it. So it's just kind of what's happened, unfortunately.
Certainly got your money's worth out of it.
Well, the game's free.
Then you definitely got your money's worth out of it.
Yeah, it's fun. I've met some really cool people. Actually, like one of my closer friends I met through a MOBA game. So yeah, I mean that whole genre has kind of done a lot for me.
All right then.
Yeah, freaking cool. All right, with that, we're gonna take a quick break, and when we get back, we're gonna talk about some weird games. And we're back. So our feature topic this week is going to be, this really just kind of came off the cuff. We had this one idea and then we weren't sure if Dan was going to be around, so we put it off for another week. And this just came up, what is the weirdest game that we've ever played? And we're going to do a quick run around the room and talk about the weirdest games that we've ever played. So first up is Dean. What's your game?
So my game is a game I played as a kid, and I didn't understand it. And when Chris came up with this topic, I thought to myself, let me go back and check this game back out again and see if it makes any more sense now. Because that tends to happen. That I was a kid, I didn't get it, so I automatically just put it away and saved it for a day I was going to trade it in at good old GameStop. But I went back and played this, and it still made absolutely no sense. This game is called Cosmic Spacehead. Just by the title alone, it should already tip off that there's something wrong here and that this game probably does just suck. Basically, it's a point-and-click adventure mixed with a platformer. It's got bizarre music, it's really colorful, and besides that, the mechanics are just so wonky and off, and it's like you're really on a bad acid trip the entire game. In fact, the guys who made it might have been on a bad acid trip. They were just like, we're gonna put purple all over the everything, and there's gonna be cow udders for trees. Yeah, cow udders. Yes, because cow udders are life and trees are life. So that's what we're gonna do. And this little guy's gonna be running around, and he's gonna talk to this monster with one eye who looks like a gigantic dick. And we're not going to tell him what to give this monster. But when he tries to give him shit, he's just going to get more and more angry. And nothing's going to happen. But you got to get this monster out of the way, or else you can't progress. So yeah, there you go. Here's your game. And that's exactly what happened. And me as a 6-year-old, I thought I was just doing something wrong. It upset me very much. I remember crying at this game one time just because I didn't get it. So I called my dad into the room, and he didn't get it. And then my friend Nat came over, and he didn't get it. That's 3 fucking people who didn't understand this game. And then I played it again pretty recently. So I'm going to count that as a separate person, separate entity, a separate smart being that should know how to comprehend a electronic piece of gaming. Could not do it. Didn't work. Didn't happen. Got stuck at the same freaking part. The first level, I got stuck at it again. So yeah, that's my weird game. You guys are more than welcome to try it. It's called Cosmic Spacehead. It's for the Sega Genesis. You could probably pick it up for 10 cents. I can't imagine this game is worth any money because I don't know who the hell would want to play it.
I want to play it now.
Yeah, you've actually more than piqued my interest. I've never heard of this game before, which is something I don't really run into very often, is hearing about games I've never heard of before outside of PC games. And
for any of our friends in Seattle or Washington, now would be a good time to take all those drugs you've been saving up and go play this video game because could be a real hell of a time if you do that.
Well, this game was made by Codemasters, from what I've come to understand. So
yes, it was.
It's definitely a very. It probably has a very European feel to it, but I'm looking at screenshots of this thing. It looks bizarre, but it looks well crafted, like well drawn, more or less. Like it's got a very distinct, colorful style. Like there's certainly uglier Genesis games out there. Like what's that awesome Possum game or some garbage like that. But it's pretty weird looking. Pretty weird.
You're damn right it is. I can't. I'm done. That's it.
He can't even.
All right. Well, and while Dean gets his sanity back together, I guess I'll go next. I've played a lot of weird games. When this topic popped into my head, this was the first game that came to my mind, and I thought, I've played a lot of games, and I'm going like, all right, let's see, Euphoria. Nope, that's a pretty weird game, but no, this is still weirder. Seaman, Katamari, Odama, Cubivore. Nothing as weird as Monster Party for the NES. This damn game. All right, it's from a developer called Human Entertainment, which has made a decent amount of games. Now that I look at their history, I mean, they got Game Boy games, N64 games, Saturn games. They did like a lot of soccer, some racing. They developed some of the Clock Tower games. I think Tecmo published those. So yeah, they've got these are the guys behind Adventures on Gilligan's Island for NES. Oh, good. And dance aerobics. Who knew? Anyway, Human Entertainment makes this game called Monster Party. And you pick up the cartridge and it looks like, all right, it's got a bunch of like spoofs on Universal monsters, and it's going to be a game about monsters, and it's going to be a good time. So you turn it on, and the little opening screen's got this big green gooey mouth thing. It says Monster Party, and some monsters, traipse around in the background. You start up the game, and you're this kid who is coming home from a baseball game. I don't remember what the kid's name is. And then he thinks like a shooting star lands in front of him, but it turns out to be some gargoyle-looking alien dude named Bert.
Yeah.
And he's like, my home planet has been overrun by evil aliens, and your little baseball dude's like, wow, that's terrible. How can I help? And so Bert's like, oh, we'll just fuse together. And the kid just goes with it. He just puts up his hands like, yeah, sure, let's go with it. And he fuses with this freaking gargoyle dragon thing. And so you can fuse and unfuse and... all right. So fusing is the thing that you can do in this game. Not really explaining it too well. At least they don't do a Dragon Ball Z style dance. So you start the game and it's kind of cutish. It's all little tiles that make up NES games, typically made from tile sets, and most of the tiles are these little smiley faces, and some of them are winking at you and giving you these funny looks, and the first static screen when you're just standing there looks fairly like a normal game. You're a little kid and you got a kind of a bright green jumpsuit looking thing on. And there's this little devil kid who's on fire shooting spears at you. So that's a little weird, but a couple swings of your baseball bat, you're good to go. And then there's like this naked pair of legs sprouting out of the ground doing a odd little dance. And that's just really weird. And then you go into the doors, which are also made out of these smiley faces. And the first door you go in, there's this purple eggplant looking thing that says, hello, baby. And then it starts shooting bubbles at you. And so you hit the bubbles back with your baseball bat, and it blows up. You get a question mark, as you do, and then you leave. And there's just more weird monsters walking around, but everything's still kind of sunshiny and happy. And then you walk past this big, giant-looking cactus thing that looks kind of like a big cactuar from Final Fantasy, but like, big smile face. And then all of a sudden, everything goes bug nuts crazy. It just starts like lightning and flashing, and all those smiley faces are now blood-soaked skulls and bones. And there's like a dog creature with a 50-year-old dude, bald dude, human head on it, just walking around. And oh my god, it's so far crazy. It just, it's very disturbing to look at. Very, very disturbing to look at. Jeez, I don't even know where else to go from here.
The edible enemies.
What's that?
The edible enemies.
The edible enemy. Yeah, later in the game, you wind up fighting so the point of the game is you get to a door and you need to beat all these little mini bosses that are hidden inside these doors, and you can transform. You beat up enough bad guys, and a pill shows up, and you take the pill, and you can turn into a dragon. So somebody was on lots of drugs when they made this, and you fight all these.
It's good.
Oh, it's a great message. Like the second room you go into to fight a little mini boss, you walk in there and it says, "Sorry, I'm dead," and there's just a dead dragon sitting there, and you don't have to fight anything because it's fucking dead. It's just walk in there, "Sorry, I'm dead," and then you collect the question mark and you move on with the game. Like, what the fuck? And then later in the game, there's like you're fighting a breaded shrimp, like the tempura, just jumping around the room because as you do, and there's like an onion ring that you fight later in the game. It's what in the hell is going on? There's like there's a sewer level that's got actually in Runner 2 there's an unlockable character named like the Reverse Merman or something like that. That's a fish head with human legs. Yeah, one of those is totally running around in the sewers in this game. It's just a fish head with human legs, and there's like a pair of pants running around or some crap like that, and like more flaming demon kids and dragons and tongues sticking out of the walls, and just wow, the level of weird. And just to cap off the weird, just like if all that other crap wasn't weird enough, and seriously, go to YouTube, watch a video of someone play this game, and tell me that the smiley faces turning into skulls and blood doesn't freak you the fuck out, because it is so disturbing. When you can duck in this game, but instead of ducking, your character just belly flops flat on the ground, and you can move around, and instead of crawling, he kind of like
humps
moves like an inchworm. Like, what? What?
That's how you crawl. You guys don't do it that way.
Is that how they do it by you, Dan?
That's how they do it down in Texas?
That's how we do it down in Texas.
Right before they get on the flying buses?
Jesus.
Right.
Yeah.
Yippee-ki-yay.
I don't even know. I haven't made it all the way through this game. I've watched a couple of playthroughs just to see where the hell it goes, because it's so strange. And the game's not easy either. Like it's got a considerable challenge, and convincing yourself to continue playing this monstrosity is really half the battle.
It's what they made Game Genies for, my friend. I'm sure there was some sort of invincibility nonsense for it.
I'm certain there's got to be some sort of weird stuff. Whenever the Retron 5 eventually makes its way into my home, I'm going to hit up some crazy codes and try to play through that game. One of the things I read about it, which was really interesting, is there's apparently a whole bunch of stuff cut out of it. Like the first eggplant monster had like a stereo system in the room, and instead of editing the stereo system out of the room, they just covered it up with black pixels. And there's like a handful of folks online that are trying to like comb through the source code and figure out what other weird stuff is hidden in the game. Just so strange. So much weird oozing out of this game, and that's my game.
I had a friend who wanted to play that game one time, and he tried to, and then his face melted off.
Monster Party. Catch it.
I recommend watching JonTron talk about Monster Party.
Oh, God,
yeah. That's a good one.
Yeah, it's quite funny. Good for a chuckle.
Any JonTrons are really funny. That guy's bananas. I love him.
Well, speaking of Mike, what's your game?
I picked Mega Man Soccer. This is a game that Chris introduced to me. We were over his house just looking through his collection. I was like, what the hell is this? Mega Man came out with a soccer game, and I popped it in. Who did I play this with?
It was Rich. You played.
Oh,
it
yeah.
with Rich.
Yeah, I beat the crap out of him in it. The best part is we're playing. I'm like, all right, I'll pick like Proto Man, Mega Man, just pick guys who I like. And then I'm like, all right, it's just soccer. That's it. And then you're like, no, you could do stuff. I'm like, how? We played 2 games, couldn't figure it out. Yeah, couldn't figure out how to do anything. I'm like, holy crap! I just because I picked I think Iceman. I was like, just shot some ice out. How'd you do that? I don't know. And it's on the Super Nintendo. It's not like there's like a plethora of buttons.
Yeah, it's on the Super Nintendo. For some reason, Mega Man is extremely angry on the cover art for this game.
Yeah.
It's just like this really pissed off Mega Man kicking a soccer ball in flames.
Gonna play some soccer, make some goals. Go away from me, you nerds.
And what else is weird about it is like you'll pick a character, but instead of like Mike said, he picked Proto Man. But you don't just pick Proto Man. Like Proto Man will be your captain. You're like, all right, who's on defense? Iceman. And so all of your defensive line is Iceman. So you got like 6 Icemans on the field, 4 Airmans, and like you just have these teams of multiple clone robots. And I don't think we got this far in it, but the boss is Wily.
Yeah, and he's the best character.
He's really good at soccer.
Yeah. Like, ridiculously. I'm like, you're old. You can't be this good.
You didn't realize Dr. Albert Wily was actually a pro soccer player before his days of making evil robots.
I guess so.
They left that out of the comics, but that's fact.
Albert's his chosen name. His birth name is
European,
Pele.
correct?
Yeah.
Alberto Pele Wily, that's what it is.
Unreal.
I haven't even played the single player of this. Apparently, there's like actually like a story mode. Like, I think you just fight like a whole team of like Airmans, and it's like, all right, now you can have Airman on your team.
Well,
great.
Mega Man had some
this
really
sounds
obscure games, but one of the cooler ones was Power Battles.
Oh, the arcade
Power
one?
Battles is pretty cool.
Yeah,
that was
neat.
It was just essentially like a boss rush mode with really good art style. But
the art was fantastic. It looks so sexy, and you could fight Airman. He looks so good. I wish I could like find an actual still just of him so I could make that my phone background because he looks so good in that one picture or in that one game.
oh yeah, I love the art in that. It was probably the closest. Let's see, there was 2 Power Battles games. The first one, the art style was very based on Mega Man 7, and then the second one I think was more based on Mega Man 8 because it had like Duo in it and whatnot. Those games are pretty cool, but they got nothing. As far as the weird scale is concerned, they got nothing on Mega Man Soccer.
Mega Man.
No, I was
Because who thought
soccer.
that was a good idea?
Yeah, no, I was just reminiscing for a few moments about other Mega Man games.
This is a great
Very-
game to play when you drink, because it's just crazy. That's it. It's Mega Man freaking playing soccer. Why would he play soccer? I don't know. Makes no sense to me
Shooting
still.
fireballs and
Yeah.
blowing up bombs and stuff. It kind of reminds me of another quick little tangent. Super Mario Strikers.
Yeah.
That game, I freaking love Super Mario Strikers. That game is so violent. It's got all these Mario characters drawn with like really extremely angry faces, and it's like all the items from Mario Kart, like throwing bombs around the soccer field and blowing each other up, and craters and
Giant Koopa shell.
yeah,
right?
that game
Yeah.
was so much fun. I freaking loved Mario Strikers.
The GameCube had a whole slew of those because wasn't also Super Sluggers on there too?
Yeah, that was Mario Superstar Baseball
Sorry,
and Super Mario Strikers, and then we had Mario Strikers Charged and Super Mario Super Sluggers.
yeah, and I mean they were all really popular games.
Yeah, and really cool.
Yeah,
Like,
they're
they
definitely
were
cool.
really fun to play, and I love Mario sports games. They're super good. They've taken a back seat in recent years as far as quality. Like the stuff they farmed out to Square, like Mario Hoops 3-on-3
Oh,
and Mario Sports Mix.
Fuck, I hate that game.
All right,
Dean's just hating games tonight.
so tell us how you really feel, Dean.
Yeah. What could possibly go wrong?
Jesus. All right. Last but not least, Dan, what's your weird game?
Well, all right. I was going to talk about Mr. Mosquito because
Nice.
that game is just incredibly pervy, and it's super creepy. If you've never seen Mr. Mosquito, basically you play as a mosquito and you have to go around and bite this Japanese family and suck their blood. It's really super pervy, but I figured that not weird enough. Like enough people I thought had played that. Back in 2004, I was working at Game Crazy down in Glassboro, New Jersey, and we got this game in, and it came in for both the PS2 and the GameCube, and it looked really cute and something that might be fun to put on in the store as a demo, and like, well, let's just throw this on and see what the hell this is, because it looks really weird. And the game is Ribbit King. Now, Ribbit King, for those of you who haven't played, is about perhaps the best sport that I can possibly think of, which is froth, right? Which is frog golf.
The immortal froth.
Froth is like, okay, so instead of like, you don't whack the frog in the ass to send it off on the course. They're on like the word has escaped my brain. A
lily pad.
Yeah, no, like when you go to a carnival and you hit the thing and it tells you how strong you are.
A catapult?
Yeah, basically a catapult, right? So you smack this catapult and you send this frog off onto the course. And it's not a normal golf course, because that would make sense sort of. It's got like spider webs that are trampolines. So if your frog lands on a trampoline, it bounces off into the air. If it lands into a pond, it swims across to the other side. There's like point clouds, and there's just all this wacky, ridiculous stuff on this course. And the goal of the game is to get the most points possible, right? So you can smack your frog out into the air, and 5 minutes later, his little froggy ass is still jumping around this course, racking up points. And it's just so incredibly strange and weird, very charming, very fun, but really, really strange. And it was a sequel to a game that we never got over here. It's in Japan. It's called Kiro King, and that was originally released back around like 2000 or so for the PS2 in Japan, and then it eventually just came out over here, I think around the same time that Katamari came out. So there's just, and it was only like $20 when it was released. And I did check, because I'm here for you guys, and you can get a copy on Amazon right now for the PS2 or the GameCube used at $9. And it is $9 well spent. If you sit down and get hammered and play Ribbit King, you're going to have a good night. You know, it's going to go well for you.
I saw the Game Grumps playing this, and this game was something else. They played it for like 3 full episodes, and for a versus type game, they normally only go 1 episode, but they had so much fun. They just kept going with it. It was pretty interesting to watch, because this frog does some pretty wily things, man. He's everywhere. He's all over the place.
Yeah, like, that's the thing. You have no control over him. You can aim him down a path, and then once he's out there, things just happen. And you know, I'm sure there's more strategy than that to it, and I didn't really get too much more involved in the strategy. But yeah, for a multiplayer, for a versus game, get a couple people over, you know, and you're gonna have a good time. This is one of those weird games that is really fun to play as well. You know, a lot of times the weird games are like, well, this is weird and it sucks, so I'm never going to play this again. You know, but Ribbit King, it's good stuff.
Neat. Yeah, I think this came out around the same time, like you're right, around Katamari, around Animal Crossing. And I remember looking at this and thinking, that looks interesting. And yeah, interesting is definitely a word for it.
It really is. And it's just the characters are super cute, and you know, they're all like kind of super deformed. You know, there's a little picnic basket with eyes and a mouth called Pickwick, who is just adorable. I mean, you'll have little cotton candy dreams of little Pickwick and his adorable little self. There's like a kung fu panda in there named like Pan Pan, and there's an elephant and a pile of rocks, and it's just weird. It's
Well, that doesn't sound Japanese at all.
No, it really you're right. It came out like Katamari and Animal Crossing, and there was Mr. Mosquito, and I think what was the other one that had the yellow cover for PS2? Mad Maestro. All these games that were very Japanese. They
R-Type
really
had that too. R-Type Final.
Yeah. They didn't lose any of their culture coming over in translation. These were very Japanese games, and for the first time that I could remember anyway, they were readily accessible. Before that, you had to import and do all types of weird things to your console to play these strange Japanese games. But here you were if anybody's ever been to Glassboro, New Jersey, it's not a very special town, and we had these weird, strange, games that you could play, and they were really cool.
Good times. Yeah, those were. I mean, that was pre-eShop type stuff, pre-downloadable stores on consoles. And
PlayStation 2, GameCube, no downloadable shops. You couldn't get all the weird stuff online like you can now.
Yeah, because that kind of stuff is really low risk. But back then, it was always impressive to see some sort of weird, just completely bizarre thing make it onto store shelves. Like another bizarre game that I could spend forever talking about from the GameCube era would be Cubivore, which was Atlas published that one. And Cubivore is it's so strange. You're like this cube and you eat other cubes and rip pieces off of them and attach them to yourself to evolve into a bigger cube or multiple polygons. And oh my god, that game is so strange. Or Odama from Yu Saito, my freaking hero as far as bizarre video games are concerned. Odama is the voice-controlled military pinball strategy game, which is...
Isn't that a Kinect game?
No, it was GameCube.
Oh, was it? Wasn't there something on the Kinect where you could like yell and like make your troops fight harder or something? I don't know.
That was through the microphone in the damn GameCube controller. Came with a microphone strapped to the GameCube controller, and you had these little Asian dudes, right? This is feudal Japan, and it's this big open field, and you got these little tiny guys. Two of them are holding a bell, and you're trying to get them to carry this bell over to the other side while avoiding all the enemy troops that are coming out. So you're like doing these voice commands saying, move forward, and flank the right side, and you're controlling all these troops with voice commands, nothing but voice commands. What are you doing with your hands, you ask? Well, I'm glad you asked, because you're playing pinball with those hands. So on the same exact field that all these little tiny people are, you're playing a game of pinball that is happening in real time on top of these troops. So like say a troop is like a normal human size, the pinball, which is the Odama, is a giant metal sphere this like 2 times as tall as a person that's whipping through this feudal Japan arena where these guys are trying to carry this bell from one point to another, and it has the effect of a gigantic steel ball rolling through a field full of people. So as you're playing the pinball game and trying not to die while doing all these voice commands, the pinball will whip through an entire army, and bodies and body parts will go flying everywhere because a giant metal ball just rolled through an entire army. This game is insane, and
Sounds
the man
intense.
who made it, I just want to hug him. Because this is the same guy that made Seaman for Dreamcast, narrated by Leonard Nimoy, where you raise a horrible man-fish creature that talks to you, and Aero Porter for 3DS, which is a freaking baggage claim simulator.
Wait, Chris, you never read Sun Tzu's Art of War with the pinball strategy?
It's the pinball strategy.
Yeah.
I must have skipped that chapter.
Oh,
it's one of the classics.
Yeah, of course. I mean, that's how you win any war, pinballs.
Changed my life.
But
Well, and I
all that
wonder-
weird stuff we just vomited out, none of that compares to how freaking weird Monster Party is.
Well, like I wonder with games like even Monster Party, if that were to be made today, would we see this kind of frothing internet like we love this game because it's so quirky and weird indie nonsense that a lot of games get now?
You would, because it's the fucking internet, and that's what happens on the internet.
I just would, but something like I see. I can't imagine something like Monster Party being made today, because Monster Party.
How the hell was it made back then?
Because there were no rules.
Exactly, there were no rules.
Quality meant nothing.
In 1989, no rules, no laws.
There is no question in my mind that whoever was making this game was on drugs. These people were out of their mind. Just the whole game looks like a bad trip, and not like Dean was saying how Mario Land looks like a fever dream. Mario Land looks like the DMV compared to Monster Party.
I had Monster Party back in the day, and it was one of those games because I always really loved like the Universal monsters. So I saw all of them on the cover and was like, I got to get this game. And really what it strikes me as is somebody who was a fan of the Universal monsters and that style of entertainment, then went out and made a game. It just so happens that they suck at making games. Like just because you're a fan of something doesn't mean it's going to be good. Like it Monster Party to me kind of comes off like bad fan fiction that you read online, where a bunch of guys and girls will get together on the internet in a chat room. Fuck, how old am I? Jesus Christ. And Reddit. And
chat room on AOL.
They'll fire up their Prodigy disc and hop into a chat room. Christ almighty.
Damn.
They'll jump on there and be like, wouldn't it be cool if this game had this? Be like, no, it wouldn't. That's why you don't make games.
Yes, it's like saying that, this is 50 Shades of Grey for Frankenstein, except instead of adding steamy sex scenes, you fight giant breaded shrimp for absolutely no goddamn reason.
It'd be so cool if there was like a flying shrimp monster. And everybody around, probably, here's what happened. The guy who was in charge of making that game was like the coolest guy out of all of his friends, and they were making this game together, and nobody wanted to be like, Steve, that idea actually kind of sucks. He was like, what if there was like a shrimp monster? And everybody, yeah, totally. That's an awesome idea, Steve. Let's do it.
See, I have to go with the hallucinogens because... You play the game, you fight the bad guys, and then a pill shows up. You take the pill, you turn into a dragon.
He was just tripping out on
this
ecstasy.
Happened to that guy.
He was just tripping on ecstasy the entire development cycle. Just fucking balls to the wall, like climbing on his ceiling, staring at a fucking bucket of fried foods, going, "Oh my god, I gotta turn this into a game.
I want to fight this shrimp. I want to fight it."
I'm gonna win.
Fight this shrimp in real life. I have to make a game. I can't beat this shrimp with a baseball bat. It's not gonna fight back. It's gotta be a fair fight. I have to put it in the game.
I don't know.
Oh my god, that's what fucking happens. Oh god, the shrimp is fuck. Oh Jesus. Oh, I'll get him.
I fucking hate onion rings. I cannot fucking stand them. I want to beat the shit out of all of them.
He's going down.
The goddamn devil.
Hello, baby. What?
It seems like the kid in high school who used to come up to like my group of friends and be like, "Yo, dude, I did this thing this weekend." Be like, "No, you fucking didn't. No, you did. That's not what happens. Go away." Like I don't know.
I got into a fist fight with a penguin at the zoo.
Yeah,
it was fantastic.
No, you didn't, sir.
No, I did. The penguin made a fist and everything. It had gloves on.
Penguins don't have hands with which to make a fist.
No.
That's what it had the gloves for.
Yeah, and he was holding fried shrimp in his other hand while he was punching me in the face. It happened.
Brought all his penguin friends over, and they put bets on it, and I won all the bets, and I won like $300 in penguin cash. And so I went to the penguin store, and I bought a bunch of fish, and I took it home. My mom said, "You can't have those fish," and I said, "Shut up, Mom! I'll eat all the fish that I want." And then I grabbed a knife, and I breaded them all, and I turned them into fish sticks, and then I used the fish sticks to turn them into lightsabers, and then I fought Darth Vader, and we went to the Death Star, and then instead of blowing up the Death Star, I took over the Death Star, and then I fought another shrimp. It was like a dark side shrimp. It had like a cloak like the Emperor, and I beat him up with my fish stick lightsabers, and then I went to bed.
What could possibly go wrong?
Holy shit! I want somebody to draw me a picture of Darth Shrimp. just
Actually, no. What I want is for anyone listening who's an artist, if you could turn what Chris said into like a 15-second short of just pictures of that happening, we'd be eternally grateful if you guys could do that. Just put that on YouTube somewhere. We'll find it. You could put it on Reddit. We will find it. Just if anyone can make that happen, that'd be great.
Speaking of our listeners, we should call it a night. Dean's got to get to bed. We've all got to get to bed. It's late, and we've been talking about weird stuff, and we're probably going to have some very strange dreams this evening. So before we go, does anybody have anything to plug?
Well, now that you mentioned it, if you guys want to get in contact with us, there's two prime ways to do that. One would be to hit the Contact Us tab on our website, which is at www.g33klife.com. You can put whatever you want in there, give us suggestions, say how much you like one of the shows, any of the shows for that matter. Tell us how much Dan sucks or that you wish Evan has all his toes by the time he gets back here. Anything, really. The other way to get in touch with us would be through our email. For some reason, if you can't get on our website, it's g33klifesite at gmail.com. Sorry. Once again, that's g33klifesite at gmail.com. For anything else, if you want to keep in touch with us, stay social, you can always hit us up on Facebook, leave a comment. That's the quickest way to keep in touch with us because we post all our news on there, whether it be new episodes, any sort of updates, where we're going to be in the future as far as conventions and stuff like that. Check us out on Facebook. That would be the prime way to do it. And for any other way, it would be Twitter. Check out any of our video content on the YouTubes. We do stuff on there, doing some playthroughs. There's going to be some new stuff coming out real soon. And besides that, check out the rest of our podcasts. Besides the Stone Age Gamer, you can also listen to Paper Cuts Podcast, which has me, Dan, Evan, and Nick in it, and it's fantastic. A new episode came out, and we love it. We love every second of it. We love talking about comics, and I believe you guys will love listening to it. Otherwise, you can listen to The Geek Philosophers, where we talk about basically anything. It's a no-holds-barred grudge match of just nerd culture, and it's plenty good. We're talking about comics this week, so for any of you comic nerds out there, definitely jump in on it. We'll have a topic up soon, so you guys can get ready and get excited about that. Back to you, Chris, in the weather station.
In the weather station, in the weather balloon high above the city. That's another weird game, Little Inferno. Yeah, you can find me in the current issue of Nintendo Force magazine. I've also been writing a handful of articles for the website geeklife.com. I've been doing started a segment that's near and dear to my heart called Lost in Time, where I tackle just kind of pointing out oddities in video game history that are unique and maybe not the best games you've ever played, but certainly some very interesting games that have kind of been lost in time. The first article I posted up was on a great PC game called D-Generation, D/Generation. It's kind of, it was billed as a survival horror game, and it is not that at all. It's kind of a puzzle goofball kind of game. It's got a really cute sense of humor to it. And it there's cute as far as decapitations are concerned. It's such a weird game, but it's so cool and so worth downloading through nefarious means, since there's just about no way to legitimately get this game anymore. But and I plan on doing a handful of other articles on other similar types of games. I wrote an article this morning about Weird Al and how he should resurrect Schoolhouse Rocks, because that's the best idea anyone's ever had.
That is a fantastic idea, sir.
Isn't it?
That's great.
It's just keep your eyes peeled to geeklife.com and check out all the great original content coming your way. We've got plenty more stuff coming. I'm going to keep writing things. I'm sure Dean will write some stuff too. Mike's going to be drunk playing Castlevania for the most part, but
I have to learn how to write.
Castlevania.
Well, he has to learn how to read before that, so we got a ways to go.
Yep.
Oh. Anybody else got anything?
Nah.
Oh, you can find me on Instagram at the Nintendude, all one word. I just post mainly nerdy related things, a lot of parody stuff. That's really all I got.
Parrots?
Parody?
You post a lot about parakeets, basically.
Yes.
It's very parody. That's That's neat. All right, well, with that bad joke, we're going to call it a night. Thanks, everybody, for listening. Let us know what your favorite weird games are, because we only scratched the surface of weird video games out there, I'm sure of it. So send us a few things our way. I mean, I would love to hear about more games that I've never heard of before. I'm always interested. And let us know how we're doing. Go to iTunes, give us reviews, write some reviews on iTunes, rate us really high. Helps more people find the podcast. The more people listen to us, the more people write in. The more people write in, the better chance we have of doing another show about a mailbag where we get to answer people's questions, which would be extraordinarily fun. And that's going to be it for the night. Thanks for listening, everybody. Have a good one.
It's okay. I
Yeah.
wanted it to.
Dan wanted a lot, but didn't get anything.
I wanted Dan to keep talking.
So did I.
I want to rock and roll all night and part of every day.
He died again. He's gone. We lost.
Dan, I wanted it to be something, and I have red hair and
Weird.
yeah.
I'm
Dan.
stupid. I'm a jackass, and I disconnect.
So ugly all the time.
Ugh.
I say,
Me, Dan. Me like video games.
Dude, what the hell?